I hate when I forget to do that. Hey, we're live. We're live with the podcast.
Excellent.
And we're live with the Hangout, and we're going to record the podcast. And today it's about the best video ranking tools for 2016. And Ray, I think we're ready to go if you're ready to go.
I think so.
All right. So let's begin in 3, 2, 1.
This episode of Video Marketing Madness is made possible by freevideoeditor.co. Are you looking to have a video editor to start doing some video editing and don't have the money to go and buy one of those expensive softwares? Well, we've got you covered. You can start editing completely for free with freevideoeditor.co. Has all sorts of great features. You want to do green screening, you want to do 3-point editing, you want to do all sorts of compositing, you can do it all. This is not a stripped down Windows Movie Maker style software. This is a fully professional video editing tool, and it's 100% free. Check it out now at freevideoeditor.co. And on today's show, we're going to talk a little bit about video ranking for 2016 and what tools you really need.
And this is where the jingle goes.
Jingle, jingle, jingle.
3, 2, 1. It's the radio show about Video Marketing Madness with Ray the Video Guy, and I'm Steve Sleeper. Got a question for Ray? Go to raythevideoguy.com/ask. Leave your question. If he answers it, you'll win all kinds of great video marketing stuff. And as usual, we got a question coming up at the end of the show. Our Facebook page is Video Marketing Madness. Our Twitter is Video MKT Madness, and I always have plenty of useful tips there.
Yes, you do.
Indeed. So you're going to talk about video ranking and the tools that we need this year.
Absolutely. And of course, the reason for that is because we are inundated with all sorts of information. We are inundated with advertisements for all sorts of tools. We're inundated with ideas that are oftentimes outdated and can get you into more trouble than they can help you. And so I thought we should talk a little bit about this again. It's not a new subject for us, but something that I think needs to be brought back around every once in a while. And I think this is as good a time as any to do it, as we're just barely into 2016 at this point in time. So,
I think you can, since it's still January, we can even say Happy New Year.
We could say Happy New Year. Of course, somebody might be watching this in June or listening to it in June and wondering what we're talking about.
Good point.
But Happy New Year anyway, even if it is June. So let's talk a little bit about this. So, in the past, there have been a lot of techniques that, well, they were successful, but nowadays might not be the smartest things to do. In the old days, when we wanted to rank a video, we could literally put up a video, go to Fiverr, buy 20,000 views for $5, and an hour later, that video would be on page 1, and it would stay there for the next 2 years. And it was easy. It was great. It was fantastic. But of course, as with all things Google, they eventually caught up with what people were doing, and now it's a lot harder to do that, or at least not so much a lot harder, but the techniques have had to change quite a bit because that sort of stuff just isn't going to work anymore.
It's not kosher.
Yeah, and it's, honestly, if you think about it, it's just not cool anyway. It's just not a great way to do business. But the great thing is there are ways to rank your videos to page 1. And the first thing we should talk about is why you would want to do this. Now, there's been a big push into video advertising of late. So, in other words, using YouTube ads, YouTube promoted videos, things like that to get views and to get more traffic to your videos. And by the way, I fully 100% support that. If you want to get people to start buying your products today, absolutely put some money into that. But of course, if you want to be able to do things in a more cost-effective manner, you can still just rank those videos and do everything that you can to get them to rank. And of course, if you're doing advertising, you're still going to want to do that because it's going to help get some more traffic and possibly even help you to lower your costs of advertising and still get a lot of that great traffic. So it's still a very viable thing that we have to be doing in 2016. And of course, it all starts off with making sure, as we've talked about a million times here, you got to know your keywords. You got to put them in your titles. You got to put them in your description. You got to put it in your tags. You know, all that stuff applies. It always is going to apply. But what we want to talk about is what kind of tools can help us take things to the next level. So in other words, assuming that we know how to find our keyword and how to put it into our titles, tags, and descriptions, how to really optimize that. We're not going to get too much into the optimization today, you know, except where it's appropriate. Once you do that, you've got to do some other things to make sure it ranks. Now, in many cases, if you've got a very easy keyword, just simply having the right titles, tags, and descriptions can get you to page 1. But of course, with most keywords, it's going to be a little bit more difficult than that. And I want to make sure that we're doing things that are going to help improve that, but not get us into trouble. And before we do that, let's take one step backwards and talk about the actual keywords. There's been two things that people have talked about a lot lately. One is, for lack of a better word, categories inside of Google. Okay, and what I mean by that is there are certain keywords that are going to fall into categories that Google just doesn't think a video is the most appropriate answer for. It's going to make it a lot more difficult to rank a video on that page. Not impossible. Depending upon how powerful that keyword is and how difficult it is, you can still fight that and get one on there. But there's going to be certain keywords that Google looks at and says, yes, a video is the most appropriate answer here, so we need to have one on page 1. It's going to make your life a lot easier. So picking those proper keywords is a great thing. Now, there's two schools of thought with this. One school of thought says, hey, check Google. If it doesn't have a video, then that's a great opportunity. Well, there's another school of thought that says, hey, check Google. If there's a video on page 1, that's a great opportunity.
Yeah.
So, yeah. and both of those things to an extent can and are true. However, in my personal opinion, I think finding a video on page 1 is a great indication that Google finds it appropriate to put a video there. So now all you have to do is see what that video is doing. And if it's not doing everything it could, you've got a great chance of beating that out. Now, there is a great tool that's going to help you along with this, since we are talking a little bit about tools today. And it's a new one that we actually did a webinar on yesterday. And what this tool does, and it's called Buddy VIP. What it essentially does is it goes into YouTube for you, and it takes the keywords that you want to rank for. So you might give, it might pull up 50 keywords that you're going to try to rank for, let's say, an attorney in a certain area. You can put in different keywords for that, attorney Houston attorney, best Houston attorney, whatever it happens to be. You're going to pull up those keywords. Well, what it's going to do is this software is going to go find a Creative Commons video and upload the video using your keywords and a bit of a description, just a very short one, and then report back how well it ranks. And so it's going to tell you, hey, you know what? These 3 keywords here, as soon as we put up a fake video there, just a Creative Commons video using this keyword, we ranked on page 1. Well, guess what? Now you know for a fact you can rank a video on those 3 keywords right away.
And that's Buddy VIP.
That's Buddy VIP, yes.
Yeah.
Which stands for Video Instant Video Instant Penetrator. No, I always get this confused. Video something penetrator. Anyway.
Video important.
But it's Buddy VIP, and okay. It teaches you how to, basically it shows you which keywords. It's not a theory, so we do keyword research all the time and say, okay, it looks like this would work, This is going to tell you, hey, it's not just that it could work. We put videos up onto 40 keywords, and these 5 ranked on page 1 almost instantly. So if they're decent keywords, they've got traffic, you're going to rank a video. Now you can put all your marketing efforts behind a video for that keyword. And of course, if it comes back and says, well, it ranked, but it was page 2, well, now if you can at least get to page 2, and you're going to do much more SEO than this software does. So you know you can beat out whatever's there. Now, what it also does is it removes those videos afterwards, just so that way you're not competing against what you just tested. So it'll put those videos out there, but then it'll go out and it'll delete the videos so that they're not competing against yourself at that point.
And that's called video poking?
That is called video poking. It's a new term, kind of. But it's something that we've done before in the past, but never really had a name for it, or at least I didn't. But now this software kind of automates that process out, and it'll do 300 of them a day, so it just runs in the background, and you don't have to worry about it. So it's a very slick little software, and does a great job. Very easy to use, and you find out instantly. Now you know this is the keyword that's going to rank for me, and it gets 500 views a month. Perfect. You're done. So that's one thing that you definitely want to check out is Buddy VIP. And you can check that out at raisebonuses.com/VIP if you need to check that out. We even have a copy of the webinar that we did that you can watch there as well. So but that's step one. So step one being we now know what keywords are going to rank for us. Now, if you don't buy this software, you can still do this exact technique. All you have to do is go into YouTube, open up an account or use an older account that's not one of your main accounts, find some of those Creative Commons videos and just upload it using basic keywords and see how it does. If it does well, then you can put your marketing efforts behind it. Obviously, doing it manually, you're not going to do as many and it's going to take a lot longer, but you can still do the same thing. And if you automate it, then it's just going to keep going and run in the background and do that for you and report back. But either way, that's a great way to not only guesstimate what keywords might work for you, but show you which ones will actually work. Great for anybody working with businesses because now hey, I can guarantee I'll get a video to page 1. Yeah. Or if you're going to rent it afterwards, now you know which one to go after. Mm-hmm. So that's a great little technique. So now, once you figure out your proper keywords, you get your video up there. We're going to make sure, as we said before, proper titles, tags, descriptions using your keyword. But now, what are we going to do to make sure that this video either gets boosted up to page 1 or is going to stay on page 1 if it's already there? And there's a few different things we can do with this. Now, there's a lot of people who have talked about the advantage you get of using YouTube Live or even YouTube Hangouts. Now, I don't necessarily recommend Hangouts unless it's literally just a one-on-one conversation like we're doing now, because if you run a video through Hangouts, the quality drops dramatically. Yeah. But if you use YouTube Live, you can take an existing video. So if you made a video for a client, you upload it. Instead of uploading it, you run it through YouTube Live. It's going to give you that same extra boost to get to page 1 a lot quicker. Now, that leads us to another software that does this job for you. And this software is one that we also did a webinar on a couple of weeks ago. And that software is called Livestream Genius. And it's very easy to use. Again, you can put your videos in there and it'll just automatically run everything for you. You don't have to worry about configuring YouTube Live and working with Wirecast and any of that stuff. It automatically does everything for you. It's absolutely brilliant. And you can check that one out again, raisebonuses.com/livestreamgenius, and you'll be able to see that in action. Very, very cool software. Now, once you have it up there, whether you use YouTube Live or you upload it yourself, you're going to have your video up there. You're going to make sure, again, titles, tags, descriptions. Make sure you do all your cool stuff like your clickable links and your YouTube cards and whatever for the calls to action. And then we're going to try and get that video to rank even better. And the way that we do that is we're going to have to start doing some sort of backlinking, embedding, things of that nature. Now, word of warning, don't go crazy with this. And there's a couple of reasons I say that. One, if you start to, you put up a video and just start sending 10,000 backlinks to it, which, by the way, used to work very, very well. There's two problems in that. One, it's going to look fishy that a plumbing video in a town where only 200 people search them in any month for plumbing videos, and overnight it's got 10,000 backlinks and 10,000 views. That's kind of fishy. Mm-hmm. So what we want to do is you want to make sure that the first thing you can do is do some social bookmarking for it. tweet out the video, use those buttons underneath YouTube there. There's StumbleUpon and Dig and all those. Or use a product like OnlyWire. Now, OnlyWire is inexpensive. It allows you to set up your top 50 or so social bookmarking sites. So this is like Dig and Diigo and Facebook and Twitter and Pinterest and all of those, and allows you to post the video to all of those without having to do each one of them manually. You just pull up the link for the video, it'll pull the description, and it'll post it out to all those social bookmarking sites for you. Very, very cool, very easy to do. Only about $12 a month, so it's a very affordable software. There are some limitations to it. The limitations being you can only put out so many videos before you have to pay them more money, and you can only send out the video to one Facebook account, one Twitter account, one Diigo account, one Dig account. If you want to be able to take that to another level, there's a great piece of software called Syndwire, Syndwire, and that's kind of like an OnlyWire on steroids, because you could have multiple of each of the bookmarking sites. So you upload a video once, and it's going to go to all the different sites. So it's going to go to Twitter, 3 different Twitter accounts and 4 different Dig accounts and things like that. And that's just going to get you a lot more exposure. And we've done some tests with this, and a lot of people were high on social bookmarking for a while, and then it kind of, they didn't pay attention to it for a while. We've done some tests that absolutely prove that even just using OnlyWire can have a huge impact on a video. We've seen a video where, it wasn't ranking at all. We ran it through OnlyWire, and within 5 minutes, that video was on page 1.
Yeah.
And so we know for a fact that it definitely makes a big difference. So don't forget the social bookmarking. It's a very important part. It's almost so easy that you forget that it's that effective. But again, if you want to automate some of that, you can check out OnlyWire, Onlywire, or Syndwire, Syndwire, both of which are great tools. And Syndwire is a lot more expensive, but if you start to do a lot of videos, you're going to find that OnlyWire can end up being more expensive or equally expensive to Syndwire, because you're going to be recharging that every, multiple times a month. And the next thing you know, you're spending $100 a month on it. And if you're doing that, Syndwire is definitely a better choice at that point in time. So something to check out. Now, once you have this video up there, you've done your social bookmarking. Steve, you and I have another tool that I believe that you love very much. And I think you know what we're going to talk about here.
I think I do, yes. Does it have something to do with an Arctic bird?
It does have something to do with an Arctic bird. Our good buddy, Anthony Aries, he has a software called VidPenguin, VidPenguin. And I believe you can check it out and see. We did a webinar with him as well. You can check that out at raisebonuses.com/VidPenguin. And this software is almost too good. And the reason I say that is because, and I believe you experienced the same thing, Steve. The first time you use it, you go in there, you put your thing in, and you're like, okay, now what do I have to do? Well, no, you're already done.
Yeah, it's done.
It's so easy to do that you almost expect them to put busy work in there to make it seem like you did something, because you literally just put your video in and it runs through its processes automatically and it's done. And you don't do anything. And what it's essentially doing, and this is actually pretty brilliant, when you upload a video, one thing you want to do is you want to make sure that the search engines know that this video exists. And we do what's called pinging. And pinging, there's a lot of different services out there that will ping your videos. And essentially they just send out a signal to Google and say, hey, this video exists now, and then they can index it faster. Well, what this does is it takes your YouTube video and it creates a whole bunch of different variations of the URL. So for instance, typically a YouTube video would be youtube.com/video/v equals a bunch of numbers, and that's your YouTube URL. But there's also the shortened version of that, youtube.be/that series of numbers. And then there's also ones for playlists, and there's ones for, loop the video, and there's ones for. So what VidPenguin does is it takes that one URL and creates all the different URLs that are possible with that one URL that still lead to the same video. And then it pings and indexes all of those. And so now Google's getting a whole bunch as if they're different videos because they're different links, even though it's the same, it plays the same video in the end, it's different links. And Google just goes crazy over that. And so it's an extremely effective way to boost a video up there. And of course, it's perfectly legal. It's it's not going to get you into trouble with Google or with YouTube for doing that. It's a very within the terms of service sort of thing to do, but yet highly, highly effective. Now, another thing that we should talk about here is views. And this, of course, is a controversial subject because in the old days, like I said, people used to buy 20,000 views for $5 and rank in 5 minutes. And that doesn't work anymore. You want to get your video shut off really fast, go to Fiverr and do that, because there's probably about an 80% chance that your video will be gone the next day. Mm-hmm. So don't do that. Yeah. However, it is extremely important that you get a number of views as soon as you possibly can. That's a good signal to Google. It's a good signal to YouTube. It's going to move your video up in the search rankings. And there's ways to do that without getting yourself into trouble. Yes, there are some of those sneaky services that do work. They absolutely do. Because the way they do it is the proper way. It's tough to recommend any of them because you never know when things are going to change tomorrow. But there are services out there that really aren't automated view services. They're much more like they have a group of people and they basically say, hey, watch this video and I'll watch yours.
Crowdsourcing.
And well, it's not so much outsourcing, it's a service.
Oh, crowdsourcing.
Yeah, but it's crowdsourcing kind of underneath it all. It's hidden in the background, So you don't it seems to be the same as just paying the $5 and getting a bunch of views. But underneath it all, it's a lot different because it's real people actually watching videos for a small, tiny bit of money. Mm-hmm. And that works very well. But again, these services change all the time. And a lot of them, it's tough to know which ones are doing things legitimately. So for me, there's a much, much easier way to do this. Simply pay YouTube. YouTube has their promoted videos program. So even if you're not an AdWords expert or anything like that, you can get into the promoted videos program and just pay $5 a day for a couple of days, get a few hundred views, and you're going to be good to go. It's going to be solid, real views. You can even target those views to a local area if you need to, and it's going to help you get quality views. And instead of spending money, instead of spending $5 a day, you might spend that $5 a day, but what if one person buys your $50 product? Mm-hmm. When you buy those other services on Fiverr, there's nobody watching that video that's going to buy your product because they're not really watching it. This is an opportunity to boost your video and get something back at the same time. So highly recommended. Promoted videos. It's right inside the back end of your YouTube channel. If you go in there, look at your video, there's a button that says promote, and they'll take you right through the process. Very, very easy to do. But the first 48 hours or so, very important to get views. So share that video with all your friends. Get your friends, your enemies, and everyone else in between to watch that video if you can. It's only going to help you in the end there. So that's a big part of that as well. Now, once you have all of this, you've got your backlinks, you've got your bookmarks, you've got your views, you've got the proper keywords. What is the next step? Well, hopefully at this point in time, you're already ranking, especially if you've used the software we talked about at the beginning, because you know you were going to rank. You should already be on page 1 at this point in time. If you're not, you picked a tougher keyword, you wanted to go after something a little more difficult, you got to start to rinse and repeat some of these things. And the best way to do that I've found is to use a company or a website like shorttask.com. Now, what shorttask.com is it's a micro worker site. So essentially, you're paying people to do things for you. Most of the time, it's things like, hey, I need 10 people to go to my website and click a few buttons and tell me if it worked. And then people around the country or around the world can do that for you. Well, what we want them to do is we want them to go to Google, make sure they're signed into their Google account or their YouTube account, search your keyword, find your video, click on your video, and then watch it. Now you can get somebody to do that for 5 or 10 cents, but each one that does that can have a huge impact. You don't need to pay 1,000 people 5 cents to do this. You need to pay 5 or 10 people 5 cents to do this. Very, very cost effective. It's actual people. You're directly paying them to do this. And it's not like this is a service. You don't have to worry about them having automated this because they don't know what you're going to ask them to do. You're specifically saying, hey, I need you to do this. Go here and do that. And they'll go and do it. And it's going to make a huge difference to boosting your rankings. And it's going to help because we've seen videos where, for instance, we had a video that was constantly on page 2. When we first put it up, it kind of went to page 1 for a little while, then went to page 2. We kept trying to do things. It would stay on page 2. It would stay on page 2. Nothing seemed to really move it up to page 1. We did that. We paid some people to do search, click on the video, watch the video, and within a day, boom, that video leapt right to the top of page 1. So it's a very, very powerful feature. In fact, when we had Curtis Melanson on, he talked about this technique.
He sure did. Yeah, that's right.
And he is, in my opinion, he a lot of people don't know who he is, but he is a very high level Google ranking person and SEO person, I guess, for lack of a better term. And, if he's doing that and getting results, that it works. And I've tested it 100 times and it works very, very well. So that's another thing you can do there to make sure your video gets out there.
And what's the name of that website?
Shorttask.com, but there's other ones out there. There's if you look up micro workers sites, there's a few that'll pop up. I think Amazon has their own called Mechanical Turk. So there's a few of them out there. But Short Task is a nice, easy one. It works very well, but very effective technique. So love to do that. At this point in time, you should have a well-ranking video. Now, if you don't, try checking your keyword again. Don't waste too much time fighting with one keyword. Try other keywords. Get out there, get that video out there because, a lot of people say, well, gee, this one has 1,000 searches a month. This is the one I want to go after. And they put everything into that one search term, and for whatever reason, they can't rank, and now they don't have much of anything. However, if they'd gone after, 5 other keywords that are much easier that add up to 2,000, well, they actually have double the audience,
right?
As the one keyword that had 1,000. So make sure you do that. Go out there, hit some of those other keywords. Sometimes you can do it with the same video, but you can always make variations of that one video and specifically go after different keywords. And the other thing that you can do is link your videos together. So if you put one video up for a certain keyword, another video up for a certain keyword, link the two of them together so that they give each other juice back and forth. That can actually make a big difference as well. It's going to help with your session time. If people are watching one of your videos, clicking over to another one of the videos, it's going to give you more session time, which is going to help rank your videos as well. So those are the techniques for 2016. Most of these are extremely clean techniques, not anything that's going to get you banned or anything else. It's a very clean stuff, very easy to do, a little more expensive because you're buying tools, but once you have those tools, you have those tools and you can do a lot with it. So there you go. That's my techniques for ranking in the year 2016. Now, did I miss anything? What do you think, Steve?
Done it all. Yeah, I mean, you everything that you mentioned is stuff that I do. The video poking is new to me, but you just did the webcast on that yesterday, day before.
Yep, just yesterday.
And if you go to raisebonuses.com/ whatever, I wrote it down here somewhere. Get VIP.
VIP, yes.
You can watch that webinar.
Absolutely, well worth it. You don't have to pay anything to watch the webinar. You'll still learn the techniques. The only thing that they're selling there is the automation tool afterwards, which we even have a $50 discount on, so we've got it for a good price. But very easy to do. We all want to rank videos.
That's right.
We all want to do it, but make sure you run some of those ads too, because that's going to be a big part of it and can help you get started a lot quicker. But we still want to do all of this nice SEO stuff on site and off site. And if you do, you'll be able to get the leads that you need. So,
and, the promoted video, I'm not spending any more than I did when I would pay somebody in Fiverr to get those things pinged or whatever the heck.
I would say I'm paying far less. Here's what we used to do, just to go back in time. We would go to Fiverr. We would pay somebody $5 to get us a bunch of views. Mm-hmm. We would pay somebody $5 to do a link pyramid. We would pay somebody $5 to do a link wheel. Mm-hmm. And we'd pay somebody $5 to do a whole bunch of social bookmarks. Well, guess what? We're already at $20. If I promote the video for 2 days, that's only $10.
Yeah.
And there's a great possibility that we'll sell something.
Yeah.
So it's a much, much better technique.
And you're paying Google to help you out. What could be better?
Absolutely. And they'll reward you for that as well. So
that's right. Okay, the Ask Ray. And this is where I'll slot in the bumper and stuff. I'm going to play this one for you, Ray, because I did edit it a little bit. So hopefully you can hear it without it feeding back. So here it is.
Hey, Ray Lane, Gary Bell. First question is, what's the least expensive way to get an audio on a video camera? Second question is, can you speak to me about 360 cameras? Hey, Ray Lane.
Okay, I had that on a continuous loop, but anyhow, so there it is. Yeah.
Yeah, so let's talk a little bit about audio for your videos. It's a huge subject, and the reason it's important is because study after study for years and years and years have always shown that bad audio makes people go away. If they can't understand what you're saying, they're going to turn you off, they're going to click off, they're going to go somewhere else. Video, they can actually excuse. They'll watch bad video if they can hear what's going on. But if they can't hear it, even if it's a beautiful looking video, they're probably going to click away. So you want to make sure that you get a lot of really good audio when you're making your videos. Now, the most inexpensive way, obviously, is to use whatever microphone is built into your camera. Unfortunately, it's also probably the worst quality of any way you can do it. So how can we make sure, without spending a ton of money, that we get good audio? Well, if we really want to save money and we have to use the built-in camera, what you want to do is you want to get into a very quiet environment. You want to get into a place without a lot of echo. So you want to be in a room with carpets on the floor, and maybe it's a room with ceiling tiles. It's got pictures on the wall, things like that, where the sound isn't going to bounce around a lot. And the other big thing is proximity. The best microphones in the world aren't going to do much for you if you're 10 feet away. And the worst microphones in the world are going to sound pretty good if you're a foot away or 6 inches away, something of that nature. So if you've got to use the microphone that's on your camera, I would just suggest that you pull that zoom out and move that camera close. Make sure your proximity to that microphone is good. Make sure there's not a lot of noise going around. Make sure you're in a room that doesn't have a lot of echo, and you should be able to get something that's pretty usable. I've had to do that many times. Nowadays, with people using their phones all the time, you see it constantly where people have.
Okay, we lost Ray just briefly. Ray, are you still there?
What you want to do is, I am still there. I hope you are.
Yeah, it just dropped off for a second there. Okay,
all right.
Okay, you're back.
Beautiful. So if we want to go further with this and we want to really step it up, the first thing you can do is get a lapel microphone. There are many on the market. You've got wireless, you've got wired. You can get either one. I recommend you start off with a wired microphone unless you really need it to be wireless. Now, if you're going out and shooting weddings, for instance, you're going to want the wireless mic so that you can stand back and have the microphone on somebody that's 30 feet away. But if you're shooting videos for yourself, for a small business, interviews, things like that, get a wired mic. And the reason I say that is they are far less expensive, and you don't have to worry about interference or dropouts or any of that kind of stuff that can happen with a wireless mic. So if you get, for instance, if you look up the Audio Technica, and I forget the actual number of it, but just go to a place like Amazon, search Audio Technica lapel mic, you'll find them everywhere. B&H Photo, Amazon, anything like that. You'll find there's a lot of options out there, but you can get one for $30 to $40. Believe it or not, you can probably even go to Radio Shack and get a lapel microphone. It's not going to be a fantastic lapel microphone, but here's the thing. A very cheap lapel microphone is still going to be better than talking into the built-in microphone.
Yeah.
So it's not a bad option. Now, one thing to note, if you're using your cell phone as a camera, the microphones that you purchase are not going to work with that most of the time. And the reason for that is, even though the plugs look the same, you get that same 1/8" jack, the cameras have a different 1/8" jack than the iPhones and the Android phones out there. And you'll notice that if you look at the ends of them, a traditional microphone has 2 rings on it.
Mm-hmm.
And a phone plug, for instance, for your headphones that have the talking mechanisms, things like that, they actually have 3 circles. You'll see 3 black circles, or sometimes they're white, whatever it happens to be, but you'll see 3 of them on that post, on that 1/8" post. So what you need to do is you need to get a microphone that works with the phones, or an adapter. And you can get an adapter for that at a place called KV Technologies. And if you look up KV, literally the letter K, the letter V, Technologies, the first thing that's going to pop up is the adapter for the smartphones, because it's a very popular product that they sell. I think they sell a cheap version for about $20, and then they sell a nicer version for like $70. And the $70 one works with professional microphones that are XLR. Most people don't need that. So you can get the cheap one. It's about $20 or $30. The other option is we actually sell a microphone that works on video cameras and cell phones. And it has a little button on it, a little switch. You can decide, you can turn it on or off, and it'll plug into your phone. You turn it off, plug it into your phone, and it works fine. Turn it on, plug it into your camera, and now you've got a powered mic for your camera. And we sell that one for, I believe, like $40. And you can get that at pocketvideopro.com. And it's a very nice little mic. It's got good sound. Comes with a lot of great little options with it, but great little accessories with it. But it works very well on both, and you don't have to worry about adapters or anything like that. It's inexpensive and works very well. So that would be my recommendation, is go with a lapel microphone. Now, there's a cheap option. If you're shooting with your cell phone, you could use your headphones that you would normally use while talking to somebody on the phone. So if you've got, for instance, if you're using an iPhone and it comes with those earbuds with the button and the microphone on the wire, you can use that. That's going to give you a better sound than the built-in microphones on most cameras. And of course, if you're using an actual video camera, you will need to buy some sort of lapel microphone. You can buy better microphones as well. You can certainly step it up and buy shotgun microphones and all sorts of other things, but highly recommend you stick with just a nice, easy lapel microphone. The Audio-Technica is a great one. Asden has some. There's a lot of different companies that do. If you want to step it up, you can go wireless. You know, it adds a little bit more complexity to it, but of course, it gives you more options as far as distance and sound quality and things like that. You can get those. There's a ton of companies that make those. But here's one tip. If you're going to buy a wireless microphone set, make sure you look for one that is UHF and not VHF. The VHF, those run on a frequency that gets a lot of interference. And you'll notice that they're a lot cheaper. And the reason is because they're not that good. You want to go with UHF. You're going to spend anywhere from $300 to $2,000, depending upon which company, but you're going to spend that kind of money for the wireless system versus the VHF, which you probably can get for $100, but they're not very good. They're not worth the $100 at all. So I would recommend definitely looking those up. But Samsung makes those, Sony makes them, and just about every company that you can think of makes a nice wireless microphone setup. Now, the second question, 3D video. Now, this is something that I don't know a whole ton about yet. This is still something that's kind of new, but there's a lot of great options for that. I'm not sure what your goal with this is, but if your goal is to do some nice 3D videos, believe it or not, you can actually go right now to a place like Best Buy and you can get a demo of 3D cameras right there. They have them right in the store. You can see how they work, and they run you probably about $300 to $400, and they're pretty easy to use. You get all the instructions. You can actually test them out there and see how they play back, see how they work. And the great thing is that they do work with YouTube on certain browsers. I believe right now it's only Chrome that will view those videos at this point in time, but I'm sure that's coming for Safari and Firefox and maybe even Internet Explorer, who knows? But right.
Yeah, monkeys are going to fly out of my butt, as Mike said. Yeah,
but yes, so you can check those out right now. They're very cool. People are getting excited by them. You can do a lot of fun stuff with them. So I would just suggest at this point in time, because it is new, go down to Best Buy and just check them out. They've got one that they keep on display that I forget the name of, but it's right there. You can test out the glasses, which are really just a phone with a cardboard thing on them, but you can have some fun with them and you can do some things in the right situations. They can be a lot of fun. We talked about, I was talking with somebody about doing 3D surround videos when we're actually shooting real videos, so that literally a person can watch our video and scan around and see the other cameraman or see what's going on in the studio, things like that. And that would be a lot of fun. But check them out. They're a lot of fun. It's still a new technology. Not a lot of people support them yet, but it's coming. Definitely coming.
Yeah. And I think the 360, okay, I'm starting to get into an area where I don't know enough to be dangerous, but where I'm getting dangerous is where I'm talking about it. Fireman Mike Lemoyne down at Maverick Web Marketing in Albuquerque is doing some 360 stuff. When you go to their places page, you get a 360 tour of the store. You have to be a Google trusted agency, which is like the top level, and they don't let everybody in on that. You've really got to go through some testing, but there's an application for that as well.
Yeah, real estate, they use it all the time.
Yeah.
It's very effective there. It's in real estate, it's effective, but there's some issues there too, because it's not perfect video. Things look distorted a little bit in some ways, so it can cause some problems, but it's a technology that is really starting to emerge now. So I would suggest just head out to the store, check it out, and see if it's something that you can put into use.
Very good. Very good. And it's the radio show about video marketing madness with Ray the Video Guy, and I'm Steve Sleeper. Today's show made possible by freevideoeditor.co. If you want to start editing your own videos, check it out today. It is a professional quality video editor along the lines of Adobe Premiere or Final Cut Pro, and it gives you all sorts of great tools at your fingertips. Things like 4K video editing, things like green screen or chroma key, as we like to call it. All sorts of great tools you can do right inside freevideoeditor.co. Check it out today. Got a question for Ray? Go to raythevideoguy.com/ask. Ask, leave your question. If he answers it, you'll win all kinds of great video marketing stuff. Our Facebook page is Video Marketing Madness. Our Twitter is Video MKT Madness. And I always post plenty of useful tips for your video marketing business. It's a good place to go. So let's wrap it up with the jingle.
Let's do it.
All right. And for those of you watching on the Hangout, we're going to end it now at this point, and we'll have the podcast posted up soon. Adios.
All right. We'll see you later.